All right, there's so much to cover here, and thank you for being here. The place to start is, I think most people know you as CTO of Meta, Facebook, you know, but you've obviously done so much more, really led the engineering at Mozilla. You've seen not only the rise of Facebook, but you've seen the rise of so many different technologies: cloud, mobile, big data, machine learning, deep learning, virtual reality, now AI. So we've kind of gone through many iterations of technology. And so when I saw you go into climate, like many others, I think we all are like, well, you're just going to be a VC of AI and like just recruit like your former team and go make more awesome things. Why the shift?
Well, I'll tell you, it started out of obligation and it has quickly converted into opportunity. And here's what I mean by that. You know, 4 years ago during the COVID crisis, I just had this sort of like moment of clarity. We had this problem that was of our own making and thus under our control to maybe do something about. And like a lot of people, I was sort of overwhelmed. It's like, what the hell can I do, right? Even with all the resources I have. And I had this sort of imagined conversation with my kids, 10 or 20 years later, which basically went along the lines of, hey, Dad, what were you doing? Like, planet's a mess. What the hell were you doing? And I had all these great answers. Well, I was busy. It's hard. I was like, those answers suck, right? And so I was like, all right, I got to start. I got to do something. And so that was the obligation in me. It's like, I got to do something. I got to start. I started moving all of my assets out of just general investments into climate tech funds. I started funding a bunch of philanthropy. And then kind of word got out, like, whoa, Schroepf's doing stuff in climate. Entrepreneurs started approaching me. And that's when the other opportunity popped out, which is like, that's a really good idea. We're like rebuilding a $2 trillion part of our economy, how we make energy, and a couple $2 trillion parts of the economy. That's an interesting opportunity. And when you compare it to these other platform shifts, you say, mobile, cloud, all AI, all of these things are a part of. Underlying them was this massive tailwind of some sort. And in the climate world, if you like plot price of solar cells and price of batteries, they're just on this like 20% a year over year downward trend. And they're competing against things that have been basically flat for 50 years. Like, I like those businesses where the thing is just getting cheaper just while I'm sleeping every single day. And then the question is, just like when everyone has a smartphone, what do you build? You build Uber, Instacart, all the rest of it. It's like when energy starts getting really cheap, what happens? And it turns out a lot of really exciting things.
Say more. Because I don't think most of us get, like, we're like, do we run the air conditioner more? Do we just like, what does that look like when we have like, let's call it negligible cost of energy?
Yeah, I mean, so first of all, we got to get air conditioners to all those people living in 140 degree, Fahrenheit, because that's going to be a problem. So I think that's one big part of it. But we do so many things right now with carbon emitting technologies, like making anything, plastics, chemicals, flying on airplanes. If everyone here likes to fly, some people flew in here, airplanes require a tremendous amount of energy. The only way we really know how to do that across an ocean is a liquid fuel. It turns out we can capture carbon from the atmosphere, we can take electrons if they're free, and we can turn that into jet fuel. So we can make basically carbon neutral jet fuel. Technology exists. The problem is 80% of that cost is the cost of the energy going into it. So if you want to fly on carbon neutral e-fuel, it's going to cost you 4 times what it costs you to fly on regular fuel now. Oh. Nobody wants to pay for that. But if I take 80% of the cost to zero, all of a sudden I'm actually cheaper. Yeah, so I'll buy the cheaper one.
So you jump into climate, you look at this area with fresh eyes. What does that look like? Are you impressed? Are you like, WTF? And I say this from the perspective of like, we Silicon Valley, a lot of times we come in and we're like, hey, look, we're here to save the day, healthcare. And then like, we're like, whoa, what is this? Or education. And then they're also looking at us like, you guys don't know anything. Like, what are you doing here? So talk to us a little bit about that, especially for those people who are thinking about taking on this challenge.
Yeah, I love it. It's like, get out of the way, the nerds are here, right?
Yeah. So I was going to go with Picard. Back,
Look, so I had the fortune of coming at it with a little bit of humility because my journey in tech started in software. I'm straight into a computer scientist. At Meta, when I joined it was Facebook in 2008. We were a website written in PHP. Everyone thought we were a joke technologically. And so we spent a lot of time building software, but quickly then I had to build data centers. So we turned a, first 300,000 square foot data center on in 2011, 10 years later, 10 million square feet, another 40 million-ish under construction. Then we built a consumer hardware business, and Oculus or the Ray-Ban Metas. I learned a lot of things I got very humbled building buildings and building stuff that you sell at Best Buy. And so I kind of went in it with a little bit of realism that, building atoms is hard. You don't just get to like test, iterate, and ship. You got to be a little bit like more planful about it. So that was this humility I went into it. But then again, I just saw this opportunity. When you start peeling back the onion on like, where are the cost curves? And this is what I'm obsessed with. Okay, like batteries, we got it. Solar, we got it. There's this nerdy stuff called electrochemistry, which is a way to make chemical reactions happen with electricity rather than with heat. Usually when you do it with heat, you're burning something, it's intensive carbon. When you do it with electricity, you can make that electricity basically from solar, things get great. And again, you just see this like cost curve going down like this. So, we backed a company that's making ethylene, which is a chemical you probably never heard of. You guys are wearing it. It's in the yogurt cup you ate today. It's made in a super dirty process. Because of the cost curves, I think this company can develop that product cheaper than the existing one, like in a few years.
Okay.
And so like you just see these opportunities with these massive cost curves. And then the other thing I'd say is like entrepreneurs. Is like, you've been in this, I've been a long time. It's like people really make the difference. And you just see incredibly talented, MIT trained, Stanford trained people who are just gonna like run through doors day after day to solve these problems. And they're focused here. And that makes all the difference to me.
I'm glad you mentioned all the schools that I never was able to get into.
Yale?
Community college, proud. but in all seriousness, there's been many waves of Silicon Valley trying to get into climate.
Yeah.
And we've heard about where they've gone right, some have gone wrong. There's been a lot of lessons learned.
Yep.
Why do we believe it this time?
Yeah, it's a key word, timing. My first company, Sequoia-backed company, started in 2000. We bought a network switch from Cisco Systems. The prior owner of that switch was a company called Webvan. How many of you have heard of Webvan? Yeah, $400 million burned delivering groceries, right? What's that business called today? Instacart, multi-billion, 10 billion, unicorn, decacorn, right? The problem was at the time you did not have the scale needed to deliver groceries. You do because of smartphones and consumers, right? So timing really matters. In the 2000s, Green Tech 1.0, big thing was like, how do we make these solar cells super cheap, right? And so tons of startups, tons of energy. Right now, solar is the cheapest form of energy that we have. 90% of the new energy delivered in the US for electricity is solar, grid scale, giant solar farms. Not because people care, it's because it's cheap. They want to make money.
Yeah.
So like that's happening.
And I think you have something you could show us of like what
real
looks like.
The question is like, is it real this time? Let's like run a video. I just want to show you like 4 examples of technologies that are moving out of the lab into the real world. The first one is a company in Massachusetts. This is Waltham, Massachusetts. They're building a fusion machine. I visited it. Probably by the end of sometime in 26, they'll be the first commercial company to create fusion where more power goes in than comes out. The next is Form Energy. This is a factory in West Virginia. They are currently building the world's largest battery in Maine. Then you have Arbor Energy here in LA and California. They're making bio waste into an energy neutral or carbon neutral energy source. And then here's something all of you can buy right now, which is the mill. It's on the market. It takes your food waste from your home, and instead of sitting in a landfill and rotting and making methane, it turns it into chicken feed. Okay? So these are companies building factories, shipping products that you can buy today or will be using in the next few years. This is real. This is not imaginary.
So one thing that we were talking about is the number of students I see who are excited to go into climate. We have amazing advice out there where they can look up, they could listen to Masters of Scale, they can do all these other things about how to become a Silicon Valley style tech entrepreneur. What's the advice for an entrepreneur who wants to get into climate?
I think the thing to remember is these are all companies at the end of the day. Like you still got to hire people, you got to build stuff, you got to sell things, like you have a legal department. So I think people get a little bit obsessed with a specific skill set and realize like, find your lane, find your zone. What are you good at? Is it managing people? Is it law? Is it money and finances? Find that lane. All of these companies need all of those things. And this goes for anyone here who's like, oh, I'm doing this other job. Maybe I'd like to do in climate. It's like, what are you good at? I'm sure there's a climate company out there who needs those skills, and just go and deploy.
We're looking back, we're 5 years from now. What do we wish we had started today?
Ooh, you didn't tell me you were going to ask that question.
Tokenization.
Tokenization. What do we wish we had started today? I don't know. There's so many good ideas. I don't think we're lacking in starting things.
What's a magic wand as the thing that would massively accelerate the transformation that we'd like to be there so that you can have that conversation with the kids and said, we did something?
Yeah, I think there's two things. It's real simple. There's stuff that's here and it works. We just need to push the damn accelerator pedal down, right? This is solar, this is battery, this is EVs. These are technologies that work. They're either at cost parity or cost advantage. Do everything you can to get them out there every day you can. And then there's the discontinuous jumps that we can make, the biggest of which is next generation fission and fusion. This is a chance for the US, if we care about America doing well, to have energy independence in the future. If we as a country and as an entrepreneurship community put tens of billions of dollars into fusion and fission, I think in 10 or 20 years we could have an energy source that's like, give me 40 acres, one tanker truck, I will give you basically unlimited power for a year. Right? No waste, no worry about anything bad. That is a complete unlock. That also solves this like, oh, by the way, what do you want to make? You want to make jet fuel? Okay, put that thing next to it. We're good to go. It just completely changes the rules of the game. And that's the exciting thing about Silicon Valley. Like why I'm an engineer and not in politics or other things is so much in life is a zero-sum game. I can fund this or I can fund that. Technology shows up and goes, actually, I just made it like super cheap, so you can go ahead and do both, right? And we have that opportunity in our grasp, in my lifetime, right, to make that change.
Activating this audience, what should everyone here be doing?
Okay, it's real easy. Take your money, take it out of the stupid whatever stocks you're in right now and plow it into some companies that aren't just like not doing bad, but are doing good. Tons of great climate companies, funds, other things out there, put your money over there. If you have the time and energy to devote your time and resources to it, switch jobs. Go ahead and work at one of these climate tech companies, climate tech VC. I don't care which one, just pick one and go, and then tell your friends.
How do people find out more about you and what you're working on?
I'm easy. Just Google Mike Schroepfer. My firm is Gigascale Capital, but I'm happy to talk about any climate stuff, related to what you want to hear about at any point in time.
Please thank Mike for being here, Schroepfer for being here. Awesome as always.
Thank you.